problems, solutions and beneficial pathways. Problems and solutions are bipolar in nature, I guess, as concepts. And there's something that we perceive. I'm not sure that nature has that same perspective on things. Does nature say that carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is a problem? Or does nature say carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is just the way it is? The other thing with problems and solutions is what we see as a solution today may be part of a future problem. Now, a good example of that is the burning of fossil fuels. The burning of fossil fuels has brought many benefits to all of us. Today, we suspect it's the root of some of our problems. So I prefer the idea of beneficial pathways. So rather than solutions, beneficial pathways involve or allow for an evolutionary process, an ongoing process, rather than a fixed, static future problem or solution. In terms of problems and solutions, consider this. Is it likely the people, I'm not picking on individuals, the corporate leaders and politicians, for example, who couldn't recognise the problem, can now find the solution? Because for many, many years and decades now, people have been concerned about the unsustainability of the way we're living on the planet. They are often referred to as greenies, or some of these people are often referred to as greenies, and they were treated with derision. The people, or the groups of people, who had that derision are to some extent now, to a very large extent, the people who are evidently in charge of finding the solutions. This seems a little unrealistic. It's difficult to move away from these bipolar concepts of problems and solutions, so you'll see they continue in my text and wording. But rather than perceiving problems, we need to perceive solutions through recognising opportunities. We've all heard that saying, every cloud has a silver lining. Consider the changes that have resulted, the beneficial changes that have resulted from perceiving waste as a resource. Waste is a state of mind. Once we perceive something as waste, once we perceive what was perceived as waste as a resource, the waste ceases to exist. Similarly with carbon dioxide. Instead of seeing it purely as a problem, let's see it as a resource, free tree food. This may not totally solve the challenges that we face, but it's certainly a potentially more enjoyable and positive way of dealing with the situation that we find ourselves in collectively. Now, I want to deal briefly with the idea of technology, capital, and the allocation of resources. Technology and capital are neither good nor bad. They are neutral. What is important is how we use them. Sustainability, or as I prefer, livability, is sometimes defined as the coexistence of economic, social and environmental factors. Consider how often economic considerations prevail. Is it surprising that we have caused significant challenges in our livability on this planet? Money or capital is no more than a means of exchange. It was never meant to be the predominating factor, whereas social is about humans and environmental, our habitat and the habitat of other species. Allocation of resources. Why do producers of essentials like food and housing earn less per hour than, say, a lawyer? And I'm not anti-lawyer, I've got some mates who are lawyers, but in terms of essential production, surely people who produce food and housing deserve at least the same return as a relatively non-productive lawyer. Now, in closing on this page, allocation of resources. Consider the proportion of technology and capital and human endeavour focused on warfare, or say in the case of internet, pornography and gambling, compared to protecting our shared habitat for all species. Quite an interesting thing, that, isn't it? The amount of resources that we spend on less productive, even hedonistic activities compared to those which are important to all of us, essential to all of us. The three basic human rights are clean air, clean water, clean food. After that comes shelter. Then many of the things that we concentrate on in our modern materialistic society.